go down the list on the front. I'll just give you the letters. I'll start going through the answers, and then when we get to a problem that you don't know how we got the answer, you don't know how that works or why, so then we can stop and go over it. Okay. Please study these. Make some flashcards. Okay. It really does no good if you just write down what it is. Okay. But you will be able to use this on the test, so I guess that would be a plus. So here we have D, A, C, D, E. Perpendicular. Read that symbol. We've gone over it a few times. 27 through any 2 points that exist at exactly one line, but you need 3 non-collinear points to make a plane. When 2 lines intersect, you get 1 point, but when 2 planes intersect, you get a line. Number 28. Are M, N, and O collinear? Yes. They are on the line MO. 29. The intersection is line PT. PT is this line right here. That's the line segment part of that line. MQ and QT, they intersect at point Q. Another name for angle F could be angle EFG. Or angle GFE. 32, a pair of vertical angles. You could have said 1 and 2, or you could have said angle 3 and angle 4. Either one. A linear pair of angles, you've got a lot of choices. You could have said 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 2 and 4, or angle 2 and angle 3. Any of them that are adjacent to each other would be a linear pair. 34, if angle 1 is 137, then so is angle 2. And then that would make angle 3 have to be supplementary to that, which would be 43. And then angle 4 not only has to be supplementary to 1 also, but it has to be the same as angle 3 because they're adjacent. These two are equal, so 4x plus 18 equals 6x minus 30. Solve for x using your algebra, you get 24. (36) If RS is 2x plus 10 and ST, S is between R and T, so S is between R and T. Okay. ST is x minus 4, and the whole thing is 21. So you would set up the equation where 2x plus 10 plus your x minus 4 would equal to the 21. Those two segments together should give you 21. Use your algebra, solve for x. You get an x value of 5. When you plug that back in, 2 times 5 is 10, plus 10 is 20. And then for ST, 5 minus 4 is 1. Okay, on number 37, if WZ, the ray WC bisects the angle, okay, if it bisects it, then that means it cuts it in half. That means this is also 52 degrees, whether it's drawn to scale or not. So ZWY would also be 52, and then the whole thing is XWY, which would have to be 104. Converse, inverse, contrapositive. If it's a converse, you're just going to switch them. So if the sum of two angles is 90 degrees, then the angles are complementary. On an inverse, you're going to leave them where they're at, but you're going to negate both of them. If two angles are not complementary, then the sum of measures is not 90. And then for the contrapositive, you're going to switch them and negate them. If the sum is not 90 degrees, then the angles are not complementary. All right. 39, angle 2 and 6. 2 and 6 are alternate interior. Two and 3 are consecutive interior. 1 and 3 are both in the left top, so they are corresponding. 42, 8 and 4 are on the outside and on opposite sides of the transversal, so that would be alternate exterior. And 1 and 8 are next to each other, so they would be linear pair. One of our options, yes. All right, on 44, determine the value of x. These are parallel, so this angle and this angle are the same, and this angle and this angle are complementary, which means that these consecutive exterior angles are not complementary, supplementary, which means we just set up them, the sum of the two equals to solve for x. I should get x value of 5. On 45, these two are alternate exterior. And when they are alternate exterior over some parallel lines, they are congruent. So we would set them equal to each other if they are the same. And solve for x using our algebra. X equals 9. If you're not sure how to do the algebra, you need to get in for tutoring, and you should have been already coming in for tutoring many, many times. But I'll be here in the mornings. Tomorrow morning and Thursday morning before the test. 46. We want to go from smallest to largest. Then when we write the names of the sides, DF, line segment, or side DF, would be the smallest. It's A, FE, followed by DE, which means that the angles opposite them would be, since E is opposite of DF, angle E would be the smallest. D is opposite of FE, so angle D would be in the middle, and angle F would have to be the largest. And it works vice versa. We start here with the angles. Angle Z is the smallest, angle X is next, and angle Y is last, the largest. And the side opposite of Z would be the smallest side. XY, opposite of X, Y, Z, and opposite of Y is X, Z. Determine the length of the third side. Oh, I'm sorry. Describe the lengths of the third side of the triangle given two of the sides. So we're not told it's a right triangle or anything. We just know that the third side has to be greater than the difference between the two, and it has to be less than the sum of the two. So 9 minus 6 is 3. So that third value, we'll call it x, has to be bigger than 3, but less than 15. Otherwise, they won't reach. So we do the same thing over here for number 49. 12 minus 4 gives us 8. So 8 has to be at least 8. And then 12 plus 4 is 16. So it has to be it can't be 16. It has to be less than 16, bigger than 8. All right, on 50. Since these two sides are the same, this makes this an isosceles triangle, which makes those the base angles, and also tells that they have to be congruent. So the 7x plus 5 would be equal to the x plus 47. When you solve for x, you get a value of the x value equal to 7. So we take that value and plug it back in. 7 plus 47 would be 54. That would be the measure of angle J. And then the measure of angle H would have to be, because if this is 54, what is this? All right, so I have total so far, I have 108, and I need 180. So I need how much more? Very good. 72 more degrees. 51. How many degrees does the interior of a triangle have total? Wrong. 180. How many degrees does the interior of a quadrilateral have total? Now, you can say it. 360. Dang. What formula can you use to determine the interior sum of any polygon? 2 times 180. That'll work for a triangle, that'll work for a quadrilateral, and any other type. Alright, determine the value of x. Alright, we've got sum of the interior of a triangle, we already said was 180. And we know one of them is 47, and one of them is 90, and we know one of them is a formula of 2x plus 3 expression. So we combine our like terms and solve for x. You get an x value of 1. Alright, if you have a regular hexagon, answer the following questions. How many sides does a hexagon have? Good. The sum of the interior angles? 720. Where'd you get that? 6 minus 2 times 180. So if the measure of one of its interior angles would be 120. How do you get that? 720 divided by 6, you get 120 degrees each. And then what is one exterior angle going to be? How do we get that? The sum of all exterior angles, no matter how many sides it has, is 360. And for a hexagon, there are 6 of them, which means they've got to be 60 each. Alright, the sum of the interior angles of a regular polygon is 2,340. How many sides must that thing have had? I don't know. N minus 2 times 180 is the formula we would have used, but we didn't know n. But we knew the answer. So when we work backwards, divide both sides by 180, and then add 2, I believe we get an n value of 15, which is the number of sides it must have had. 55. BD and AF intersect at C. BD and AF intersect at C. Great. So, what we can do here is we're going to start by finding the measure of that angle, 62.7 plus 46.9. And subtract that from 180 means this has to be 70.4 to give me that 180 degree total inside this triangle. And since these two are going to be congruent, I can just transfer that over for this angle as well. So I have a 70.4, I have 132.8, and I have a 90. So if I add those three up and subtract that from 360, which is the total for a quadrilateral, 2, 3, 4, I get that x value has to be 66.8 to give me that exactly 360 degrees within that quadrilateral. Alright, 56. This is the trapezoid. This is the kite. B. The square is down here. D. The rectangle is A. The regular pentagon would be F. Rhombus is E, I, H, and G. Isosceles trapezoid has to have same length sides and same base angles. Right. Map shows two different routes from Miss Benson she can take to get to the airport. She can either take the highway, an Oak Road, or she can go straight to it using Airport Road. How many miles would she save by traveling to the Airport Road instead of Mountain Highway and Oak Road to get to the airport? So we need to find out how far Mountain Highway is. So we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. This is going to be our hypotenuse, so that's going to be C, and we'll call that A, and we'll call that B. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And 25 squared plus I don't know squared is going to be 65 squared. That's so if I, in my calculator, here's what I can do. I can put in the square root of 65 squared minus 25 squared. That will immediately spit out the answer. I believe it has to be 20. No, not 20. 20 is the difference. So that means this was 60. Is that right? Which gives me a total of 85 miles if I go the long way, minus 65 if I go the short way, saving me 20 miles. All right, find the value of each variable using the special right triangles or trig ratios, either one. So this is a 45, 45, 90, which means that we can either use, we know this has got to be 10, so we can either use the Pythagorean theorem, 10 squared plus 10 squared equals the hypotenuse squared, or we can go in and use trig. We know opposite, we're trying to find hypotenuse, we could use sine, or if we remember what our special triangles were, on a 45, 90 it was x, x, and x square root 2. So that means this one would just be 10 square root 2. Which comes out to about 14.1, I believe. Over here it's the same thing, but backwards. This is the 45. We know the hypotenuse. So if this was x, x, and x root 2, then the thing on the root 2 is the 13. That means that's what these guys were. You can do it that way, or you can use the Pythagorean theorem again, knowing that C and B are going to be the same length. So instead of a squared plus b squared equals c squared, you just could say a squared plus a squared equals c squared. Two a squared equals c squared, which would be 13 square root 2 squared. You can figure it out that way. And then say that, we'll call it b, I guess. And then once we found b, that would be equal to c. On 68, we have a 30, 60, 90. This is 30 degrees. This one's 60 degrees. So again, we can use trig. This would be adjacent to the 60, but opposite the 30, so you could use either one, either sine or cosine. And then you could use tangent to find f if you want it. But on a 30, 60, 90, there's also special formulas for that. The hypotenuse is always twice the short leg, and the long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. So if this is 7, and this formula tells me if that's 7, this has to be 14, and this, all I have to do is write 7 square root 3. Just let 7 take the place of x. So b would be 14, and f would be 7 root 3, 4, and 12.1. You can put that out and calculate. Cable cars on ski lift rise 5,000 feet from the base at an angle of 30 degrees. What is the approximate straight line distance that a cable car travels from the base of the mountain to the summit? Distance, straight line distance from the base to the summit. So I've got 30 degrees. I've got an opposite side of 5,000. So you can either use trig, or you can go back up and use the 30, 60, 90. If that's the short leg, that's x, and the hypotenuse is always twice that. Ladder leans against the building. Ladder. 4 degrees. 7 feet from the building. Building. Need the length of the ladder. Hypotenuse. Adjacent. Cosine of 4 degrees, adjacent, so the hypotenuse of x, that means x will be 7 divided by cosine of 54, which would be 3 QR is 12, but they actually wanted to know QP, which is Pythagorean theorem.
It's still computers.
We have 5. Then angle P, call that our theta. Go with our original Gibbons, which is the opposite hypotenuse, and sine theta be 12 over 13. We use inverse sine of that ratio to give us that angle. Angle comes out to 7.4 degrees. That's 67.4, and that's 90. This has got to be 22.6. that's 47. This is congruent to that, that's 47, that's going to be 88. So we still got to get a total of 180 degrees. Means that's got to be 47.